The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Cowboys StoryLine with Nick Eatman.
What's up? Welcome to Cowboys Storyline. I am Nick Eatman. Wednesday, January 29th. It's our first show since our new coaching hire of Brian Schottenheimer, the newest head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Who saw that one coming? Maybe Jerry. Jerry and Steven saw that one coming. Not anyone else. Maybe Schottenheimer had a vision for it as well. But, by the time the news broke Friday night, it wasn't that much of a surprise at that point. And then certainly when the announcement came on Monday, everybody knew the deal. But still, I think we're all kind of wrapping our mind around this one and trying to see what's the next move and the next coordinators and the next coaches and how this staff gets put together. But it's been a week already, and we're just still trying to figure it all out. But it's been a fun week. Anytime that there's change, I think that there's some excitement that goes with that. And so I want to hear from you guys and hear what you have to say. I think 888-855-2297 is the number to call. Chris, who we got on the line? We said you had some callers. Who we got first?
Anthony in Miami.
Anthony in Miami. All right, our stuff isn't working today, but that's all right. Anthony in Miami, what's up?
My God, Nick the Quick, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Nick the Quick, your boy Anthony in Miami is doing fine because whether they like it or not, it's Coach Schotty time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm down for it. I'm not going to say I saw it. That'll be lying. I didn't see a big name. I didn't see Coach Prime. Me and some people were just saying that we thought Coach Prime would do it if Dak hadn't got signed, then it might have got interesting for him to come and possibly get his son. But I really thought Coach Zimmer would get it and Coach Schottenheimer or somebody like that would get the offensive coordinator. So as positive as I am and supportive, of course, if you wear that star or you're all about that star, I support you. So, Coach Schottenheimer, I support you. I support your staff. I support our players. That's just what I do, man. I hope you do well, do some of the things you said you're going to do that looks like it was turned away or somebody was like, we're not going to do that. I guess that's where that biting the tongue thing came in at. So It sounds great, and I hope he has a great, successful run. That's all I got. I'm going to let some other people get in there.
Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate the call. The word deference was used a couple times, and like you alluded to, and there's time, and that's a lot of coaches. When you think about it, and not just coaching in the coaching world, think about your own job, and you're in meetings, and where there's people that are above you making decisions. There's a lot of decisions that people don't always make, and how do they handle that? What's the best way to combat that and say, all right, I don't agree. Here's why, or you say, in this case, you let this one slide, and I think that happens a lot. The simple fact that your offensive coordinator who didn't call the plays for last year's offense that wasn't very consistent, wasn't very prepared, had a lot of issues, had injury issues too, but had problems in a lot of areas. The fact that your offensive coordinator is now the head coach of the team, and your head coach is not going to coach this year. He's gone and doesn't look like he's going to get another job. And so that right there just goes to show to me just how much difference of opinion that they had and how much that they think things can change. Because a lot of times when something like that happens, you're like, all right, get rid of all that. All that on that side of the ball, it's not working. Well, the fact that your offensive coordinator is now your head coach makes me think that they believe, and there's enough people in that building, players, coaches, scouts, whatever, front office, that feel like that there was much of a difference of opinion, that they can keep continuity at the same time and also some change that's needed too. All right, let's go to Dylan, Northport, Florida.
Hey, Nick, been a minute, man. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, how are you?
Good.
just want to talk about the Schottenheimer stuff, obviously. I'm kind of in a weird spot mentally with this whole thing. And here's why. I'm okay with the Schottenheimer hire. I actually think it might secretly kind of be a good hire on the down low. He said all the right things at his presser. He wants to run the ball more, mirror the ground in the passing game, all that. Sounds great, so let's go do it. But here's where it's weird for me mentally. Like, if I'm okay with the Schottenheimer hire, but I'm mad at the process, I feel like those are contradictory thoughts. And if Brian's the right hire, right, and that's who we got, then why am I upset about the process in which we got him? I feel like us as fans, myself included, our thoughts and opinions change like with the wind, right? It's like one day we think this, the next day we think that. And I think that we sometimes overvalue maybe our feelings, our thoughts on, and the influence we have over Jerry and his decision making. And I don't want Jerry, the GM Jerry, making decisions based on what we want as fans, because we don't really know what's going on at the end of the day. We don't know the ins and outs. And I think that everybody that's upset about it, they're kind of coming around to it now as far as Schottenheimer being the coach. Whereas just a day ago, it's like everybody was up in arms the day before the presser. The mob was out in full force. And so I think that sometimes us as fans, and myself included, we just got to take a step back, right, and look at the holistic picture. And it's like, I think this guy is going to be okay. And I think that's the feeling everybody has on Twitter right now, is this guy's going to be okay. So, like, what are we really upset about as far as how the process went in interviewing him and the other candidates?
Are you asking me, or I mean, I don't like I get what you're saying. Like, I get that, and you're like, well, you know, I think we're going to come around on it, and not to be a smart ass about it, but I look at it like, well, what if you weren't? You know, like what if and there are some fans that aren't excited about it, and they're not going to come around on this. What does that mean? I mean, like we've been through worse than this. I say it all the time. If you're a Cowboy fan and you're one of those that say, I've been a fan forever and all this, you've seen worse than this. You've seen worse teams, worse situations, and even though you think that you haven't, you have. And so I'm one of those. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, yeah, guys, get on board 100% because, you know, this is why he's going to be great. He wasn't my pick. I didn't even think he was going to be interviewed. So I'm not going to sit here now and tell you this is why he's going to be great. What I am going to tell you is that we have to give him a chance because he's the coach. And if he didn't impress you with what you saw, then you're probably just not going to be impressed. He was impressive.
Well, he's a big risk, according to Jerry. Apparently.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't see that.
That was the most awkward part of the whole interview, man. That made me feel so uncomfortable. He said it like 27 times sitting there next to him. It was weird. But
awkward.
Just making an observation based on people that were pissed off on Twitter and some of the chats and stuff. Like, people have started accepting him as the head coach. And I think this is cyclical, man. We see it. It's a roller coaster you talk about. It's like, okay, come April, you know, 3/4 of the fan base, 80% of the fan base, we're going to be ready to go, man. This is what it is. We do it every single year. We get pissed off, and then we're back on the wagon. So it just kind of is what it is at this point. That's what it is being a Cowboys fan.
Yep. Always, yeah. And Dylan, I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. And the thing about it is, too, is like, you know, he's gonna probably continue to gain some fans, some excitement, some traction there, up until the first time it doesn't go well in a game. Like, you know, he's gonna be undefeated from now all the way. Even the preseason games probably won't matter as much. The press conferences should be fine. You know, I don't know if he's gonna be. You know, it doesn't seem like a real jokester. You know, but he's also he's not a robot either. You know, he's a genuine person. I think all that's nice and good until the first time you lose a game and a coaching decision is questioned, and then all bets are off at that point, and that's the nature of the business. We get that. But I think that he gained some fans. I think that, you know, he was impressive. I said it a couple times. I mean, I don't know if you can win a press conference. He did. That's not the kind of wins though that he's going to be judged by, for sure. But I thought he did a nice job, and the fact the players were there, Dak and some of the other players were there for his support. He shows, you know, that he should have the locker room, but it's one thing for guys to say, hey, we support you, we're so glad you're the coach. but at the same time, can he get on their ass when it's time to do that? And that's one of the toughest things that a coach can do is say, hey, yeah, I got you, you're my guy, but you're not doing this right, and you need to be a little bit more, a little less comfortable than you are with me as your coach, and so I think that's a balance that any coach has to have, and we'll see. Assistant coaches are talking to Derek Eagleton about this yesterday. Assistant coaches are like the uncles. It's all nice and good until but when you're the head coach, now you're making the decisions, and all the decisions, and some of them the kids just aren't going to like. So we'll see how that plays in. Let's go to the next caller, Carolina in Longview, Texas. Carolina, what's up? There you go.
What's going on, my guy?
How are you doing?
Man, I'm living, man. I'm happy I finally got in, man. I don't know, man. It's been the off season, but it seems like the line is just ringing and ringing and ringing. It's hard to get in these days.
Well, it's been ringing a lot, when we don't have a show. We only do one show a week. I don't think they even answer it. So, yeah. But we're happy to be on today, and want to hear from you guys. So what do you got?
Got a couple of things, man. I'm kind of like Dylan. I support it. Once again, it's our team. So, I mean, what can we really do? Either we're with it or we're not with it.
Yeah.
You in or how Jerry said in the press, we're all in on them. We're all in on Schotty. So now my main question is, do you truly believe that there's going to be a major difference? Not just, okay, there's a little bit of difference between the play calling and, the offense or how it was last year. Do you truly believe that we're going to see a different brand of football? And my other question is, in the presser, they were talking to, what's his name? Not Jerry. Is it his son or nephew, the other guy?
I'm not familiar with what you're saying. I'm sorry.
When they asked the question about free agency, and not Jerry, but the other guy that answered.
Steven,
there we go.
Okay.
And he said, okay, yeah, we noticed we made, some mistakes and that there's going to be changes and we're going to put more into it. I'm just is that really just, talk from the press, or does he really mean it?
That's not exactly what he said. He didn't just come out and say we're going to do things different. He said they might do some things differently in free agent, something to look at. I think that, he's always going to say might, maybe, perhaps, possibly, potentially, all those things. I think this. I think they're going to be more active in free agency. I think they have to be because they just have so many free agents. So they're going to sign a lot of guys, and I would think that they sign more guys from other teams than their own. So does that mean that they're going to be a lot more active in free agency? Maybe. Does that mean they're going to be aggressive? Probably not. But I wouldn't mind seeing one or two moves, one or two splashes. And I think that could happen this year. Just a few things different than what you've seen before, especially early on in the first couple days. I think they'll be a little bit more active than they've been in the past.
Yeah, because I just like you said, not too aggressive, but I feel like there has to be an effort.
Yeah.
Not just getting the long snapper and a linebacker. There needs to be a collective amount of moves that, like I said, fill spots to prepare us for this draft, because if we're going to be losing all these players, we need to go ahead and show up most of these spots so we can get the BPA,
Yeah, that's true. That's a very, very good point, Carolina, very good point. And what thanks for – you have anything else? Is that it?
No, man, I have nothing else. I'll be calling in, and I appreciate you answering for me.
Sure.
I hope you have a wonderful day, and love to all my StoryLiners.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Be safe on the roads out there. Driving in Texas here, Longview, Texas, going on that East Texas there. What he said, too, if for anyone that maybe didn't hear that or didn't catch what he's saying, is fill up these spots, these holes that they have, so you can take BPA, best player available. And that's going to be a challenge. I just don't know with the free agency, the way it is at key spots. I have a hard time thinking there's not going to be some glaring needs going into the draft. Unfortunately and unfortunately, at the same time, there's so many needs that you still could probably take best player available, and it's going to be a spot that you need. I mean, that's I don't think that's actually a good thing, but in this case, I don't see the quarterback being the best player available. I think the quarterbacks will probably get drafted earlier than that. The ones that are going to go off the board are going to go off the board. And so after that, edge rusher, could be a corner, could be wide receiver, running back, defensive tackle. There's a linebacker. All those things are positions of need. Now, this does seem like a tight end from Penn State that is going to be in that range there, maybe even higher than 12. That would be a need that would be a nice to have. I don't think you necessarily need to get better than Ferguson and Schoonmaker. That's solid. The tweaks that Carolina was talking about, that Schottenheimer was talking about, how much, this question was, can they make a big difference in 1 year, different brand of football? If you're running the football, if you make a few tweaks here and there so you could run the ball better, then I think your tight ends will come into play a lot more than they have in the past. And so I still think tight ends are a product of what you have around you. Even now there's a handful in the league that are difference makers. They're probably more just big wide receivers, and they know how to get open. They know how to get mismatches and things like that. But for the most part, I would think your tight ends are a product of what you're doing on the outside. I think Buffalo's a good example of that. They got a couple of tight ends. They're not the featured guys, but they can make plays for you. Philadelphia is probably like that too. Goddard is, he can get open and make plays. And I don't think they need to make an upgrade there. My point is that I think that what they have, they're going to have a lot of needs. And I think that whoever's there at 12 for them is, the best player they've got on their board is probably somebody that can come right in and help and fill a need that they have, even if they do some more things in free agency. All right, let's go to KC Joe. He's in Kansas City.
Good morning, Nick. How are you doing today?
Good. How you doing, bud?
Pretty good, sir. Pretty good. Hey, I was thinking about the DC. You think they might go after Wade Phillips?
Well, Matt Eberflus is the defensive coordinator. He is
now.
He's been hired
I'm sorry.
Yesterday. It's okay. He's been hired yesterday as the defensive coordinator. It's a lot of news going on here. Yeah, yesterday was a big news day, and the day before, obviously, was when the Schottenheimer thing came out. But they did hire a special teams coach, Nick Sorensen, and then they also hired Matt Eberflus. But no, I don't think Wade. I don't see Wade getting back into coaching anymore, especially because Wade worked out for the Cowboys because he was following another coach that had a 3-4 defense. Wade's scheme isn't for everyone, and I don't know if this team is built right now to just make that switch to a 3-4. So, no, it's going to be Eberflus. He's the defensive coordinator, and I think that's a good, solid move. I really do.
Okay, I didn't know that. I apologize.
That's okay. That's all right. Hey, it's hard to keep up sometimes around here. What'd you think of the move? What'd you think?
Well, it wasn't my first choice, but since we got him, let's see what he does. I would have went after John Gruden myself, but that was my first choice. But, since he's there, let's see how he does. That's all I can say. I don't know what else to say. So.
Yeah, there really is it. You could say first choice. Was he your 10th? I mean, seriously, was he your 10th choice? No, not mine.
I was a little worried because he was the offensive coordinator and the offense didn't produce that well.
Yeah.
But towards the back half we did, but at the beginning, it didn't look so good. So I was scratching my head at that. But like I said, he wasn't the head coach, and he just kind of had to follow orders. So,
yeah,
I got to give him a chance, and see what he does, So
yeah, that aha moment is when you said, the back half of the season they did better.
Yeah,
you're going to have people in the building here, and it's going to surface out if it hasn't already how the back half of the season is when Schottenheimer actually got his hands on the offense a little bit more.
Okay.
That's it was his idea from what I've heard, his idea to say, let's put Cavante Turpin in at running back. Let's put him in a different spot. Let's put him, let's use him a little bit more. Let's change a few things offensively, scheme-wise up front. We can run the ball better. Let's do this with Rico Dowdle. A few things here and there. So to answer your question, and then the one before that Carolina had about how things will look different, I think what Schottenheimer was able to do a little bit, and he'll use analytics more than I think McCarthy did, in a positive way. And this isn't just game decisions analytics. It's just like, hey, this is what we do on 3rd and 10 every time. On 3rd and 5, this is how teams are playing us. We gotta be ahead of the curve. That's how I think that they're going to use analytics a little bit more than they have. So, again, not our first choice, and not a guy we had on the radar. He's here. He was on the Cowboys' radar. Can he turn things around? That's what we're all waiting to see.
I hear you. Well, have a great day, Nick.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, Matt Eberflus, defensive coordinator, Nick Sorensen, the special teams coordinator. And let me throw this out there about Nick Sorensen real quick. He was with the 49ers the last 3 years, and he was their defensive coordinator last year. He was fired as the defensive coordinator. That's not his role. That's probably not his best role. He played in the league 10 years. He played a lot of special teams. He's been a special teams assistant with the Seahawks, and he was the coordinator with the Jaguars. So special teams is a little bit more his forte. Let's judge him on that, not necessarily as a defensive coach. Same with Eberflus, really. Eberflus as a head coach, Chicago fans will tell you, oh, my God, get rid of this guy. Hail Mary, are you kidding me? Well, okay, but as a defensive coordinator, when he was with Indianapolis, those defenses were really, really good, and good with players that will fit his scheme. I think he'll be one that you'll see a draft pick in the 5th round, or I would say 4th round, but they don't have that pick. But they might, But you'll see a middle round pick of a guy that you're like, oh, didn't see that one coming. Or the draft show guys will be looking through their stuff like, all right, I don't know about that guy. But, it'll be a vision that like Eberflus will have for a player to say, hey, I like him in this scheme. Because that's what he did a lot of with the Colts. Those were a lot of no-name players. They had some good players, but he had a lot of no-name players that they made into a really good defense. I believe Malik Hooker was there. Now, he was a first-round pick, but I believe Malik Hooker was there with him for at least 1 or 2 seasons when he was the DC. All right, let's go to Terry's in Mexico, Puerto Vallarta. Terry.
Morning, Nick.
How are you doing?
Morning. Real good. Sitting out here looking at the Pacific. Just recently retired down here and living the dream.
There was a special teams coach we had here, one of my favorite coaches of all time, Joe DiCamillis. You know what he calls that? Beach TV. He said, we sit out there, it's called Beach TV. I don't have a TV. I just sit there, and it's called Beach TV. So I love it. We're all jealous.
It took a while to get here, but I'm finally here and enjoying life.
Good for you.
One concern I'm hearing a lot is our veterans. I watched Mike's YouTube show last night, and I'm not, he's all hard about the Cowboys, and one of the concerns is, some of our veterans hoping they don't get discouraged and decide to leave. I've been hearing chatter about Parsons wanting to trade, and I know change is hard to take with some of our veterans, but I'm willing to, give the guy a chance. I liked Eberflus pick up as a defensive coordinator. Coming from Chicago, that's all I heard is how bad of a coach he is, but I think he's a better coordinator than he is a head coach. So just my opinion, and love the show. It's getting harder and harder to get on nowadays, so that's doing well for you.
Terry, whose show did you watch again? I did not hear that part.
Michael Irvin.
Michael Irvin.
I was watching YouTube last night, and I ran across his rant.
Got it.
Mike. He's all heart when it comes to the Cowboys.
100%. All fan all the time.
Great shooter.
And I say this respectfully towards one of the top 10 players to ever play for the Dallas Cowboys and a Hall of Famer. And former players, they know football. They know players. They know locker rooms. They do not know, and I'm pointing towards the Cowboys locker room. They do not know that locker room. They don't. I'm sorry. Troy Aikman does not know that locker room. Emmitt Smith doesn't. Michael Irvin doesn't. Nate Newton doesn't. Nate's on these shows. These former players,
Yep.
they know football, X's and O's, and they know what it takes to get to that point. And I respect that more than anything. But when they come in and they talk about culture that they don't know about, and those players really don't know them, then I take it with a grain of salt. I'm sorry. Unless now Jesse Hawley sits up here. Jesse has some connections to certain players. If those guys are telling him stuff, that's a different story. But when you, in general, former players, when they get asked about culture in the locker room, they don't know it more than you do, Terry. I mean, that's just simple fact. So I don't get all worked up about what a former player says. A former player, a lot of times, is talking so you don't forget who they are. You're like, oh, okay. I'll never forget Amani Toomer from the Giants. Amani Toomer, remember him?
Yep.
I mean, he made it. No one had heard from him 3 or 4 years, so he just comes out and makes a statement and says, I think Romo's better than Eli Manning, a quarterback that he played with. Oh, my God, everyone went up in arms. And I looked at it like, well, Amani Toomer's looking for a job, looking for, looking to kind of show, now Michael's not doing that. Michael's being Michael. And I love Michael Irvin. There's no doubt about it. I'm just saying, I don't get worked up about what former players say because I don't think that they know the pulse of a team, especially if they're not in that locker room. Yeah.
I've been a fan since '72, and I'm never going to jump ship from my boys. So
who's jumping ship?
I said I'm not going to jump.
Oh, okay.
From my boys. Yeah,
okay.
no, I've been in there here too long, been a fan, so no, I'm always going to be there for them.
For sure. And as I said, it's been worse situations than this. You'd have other reasons. You'd have better reasons to jump ship if you wanted to do that before now. It is what it is. It's your life, and it's your it's just who we are. We're Cowboy fans, and it's
yeah, totally.
It's what it is. Well, I appreciate it. Have fun.
I appreciate your time.
Have fun down there in Mexico. All right.
Oh, definitely. Take care.
All right. Chris pointed out about Michael Irvin. Chris, you're right. Deion Sanders was his choice and his boy. And from what I've heard mixed things about Deion's this situation. That maybe that they were just two marketing guys kind of talking, getting together, throwing that out there in the media, maybe helping Deion get a little bit more NIL money at Colorado, and maybe helping Jerry kind of show that this is a big job. I had someone that said he talked to Deion, and Deion really wanted it. Really wanted this job. So I don't know. I don't know how serious it ever was, but that's not the case now. Anyways, Davion in Illinois. Davion, what's up?
What it do, Nick? What it do?
How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. The news Friday night took me for a loop, but
yep.
I mean, a couple of days from it now, so I'm rounding into shape. Back into let's get it at this point.
Davion, give me something you like, something you do not like about this move.
Something I like. I like what he was talking. I do like that. I do like cut, splits, motion. I like what I hear.
You like Patrick's?
If you do it.
Patrick's question. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Patrick was on point with that.
Yeah.
I was so happy when he said that. I was like, oh man, I think somebody asked this question. Thank God.
Yeah.
But I was watching the press conference and I was like, man, somebody please ask him a question about if he's gonna do something different in his office, because that's been my biggest thing, as you know.
Yeah.
Get his offense cranking. So I'm like, we gotta get this offense cranking if we're gonna do anything.
Yeah.
In this league.
Yep, 100%. And then what do you dislike? What's something else? I asked you both, so.
Let me see. What I dislike about it, I hate the process. Like pretty much all of us probably. I mean, Cowboy Nation. I just hate the way it got to it. I mean, sitting back thinking about it over the weekend, it seemed like Schottenheimer was the front runner from the whole get go. They just took their time getting to him, but he was kind of the front runner the whole time. So it was like, oh, okay, well, if that was the case, then I'd rather you kind of talk to a couple more people. I would like y'all to talk to at least a couple more people just for the simple fact of just talking to a couple more people to get more ideas of, more people outside people thinking about what your team is.
Davion, what if I told you they talked to 16 people? 16 coaches, legitimate coaching candidates, 16 of them. Like I didn't think it was that many, and a lot of fans don't think it's that many. Jerry kind of alluded to it, in the press conference, that it was a lot more than people think. But so the taking their time process, I mean, they talked to more guys than it was reported, shockingly, because this thing's been covered. So, yeah. So 16 was the number that I've heard. Now, does Dion count in that? Probably. So I don't think we're talking about 16 official sit-down interviews or Zoom interviews, but 16 people that you're calling and talking to. I mean, that's a pretty decent amount of guys.
Yeah, I'm good with that if that's the case. So, I would rather I run like at least 7 sit-downs, but 16 people talking to, that ain't bad.
Right. So the reported process. It may not be what you like, and I'm not saying you should be excited about all that, and I'm not trying to change anybody's opinion. I hope everyone knows that. I said this the other day. I'm not a DJ. I'm not spinning anything, okay? I'm just saying that I think they talked to more people than you think, but maybe all along it was Schottenheimer. Maybe he was like, this is the guy. Let's see if somebody can prove me wrong or be better than this. So.
Hey, well, one question before I get off.
Yeah.
I would love to get your book. I don't know how I'll be able to get that because I'm at work at night, so I'd love to start read that book. So if there's a way I can do it, it'd be great.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out with you. You're on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll get it for you. We'll figure it out. Thanks, Davion. Appreciate the call, guys. I'm gonna go to break real quick, and then when I come back. Probably the call everyone's waiting for. We'll be right back after this.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Up next, waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof bags. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take a steak, cornbread, cobbler's pot pie, and potatoes next level with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Altec Lansing has been perfecting sound since 1927, bringing you decades of audio excellence to elevate your Dallas Cowboys tailgate ritual. Equip your next pregame with the Sound Rover 180 with 6 hours of playtime, built-in microphone, multicolor light modes, and a rugged exterior that's built to last. Visit AltecLansing.com/Cowboys15 for 15% off your Sound Rover 180. That's AltecLansing.com/Cowboys15 for 15% off. Altec Lansing, official audio partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to Cowboys Storyline.
All right, welcome back to Cowboys Storyline. I'm Nick Eatman here, Wednesday, January 29th. Got about another 45 minutes or so have an extended show, talking a lot about the Brian Schottenheimer move. Really, that's about the only thing. We're talking some coordinators, some other good stuff. But let's get to Rob in Vegas. Rob, what's up?
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
All right. So it was a predictable hire. I think it's a terrible hire because it's another happy to be here guy. Jerry has a type, Campo, Wade Phillips, Mike McCarthy, and now Schottenheimer. These are happy to be here guys. And what I mean by that is they were never getting head coaching jobs from anybody else.
Right.
So now they're hired, and now they owe Jerry. So now it's, I'm not going to push back. This is this guy gave me my chance. And you can't change the culture from within. Not with a guy who, let's be honest, has been invisible. I mean, nobody knew what he did. I doubt Jerry even knew his first name. So
That's false.
To bring this guy in to change the culture is ridiculous.
Rob, let me just tell you, he knew his middle name. Okay, so let's don't get into all that. He didn't know his name. He knew his family. He knew his mom's name. He knew okay. So you want to hide that? You want to hold that against him? Hold that against him. But don't say that Jerry didn't know his name. Jerry knew him. Okay, go ahead though. Keep going.
But the deal is you have to change the culture. They should have went outside the organization. And the sad part is, as a fan, is you had some really good head coaches available. You had maybe the greatest in Bill Belichick, who was interested. You had Vrabel interested. How the last minute you called Pete Carroll to ask him about this guy, and Pete Carroll's like, "What about me?" But there's no way they could bring these guys in because A, they won't pay them.
Pete Carroll.
I don't know what
Pete Carroll. You didn't want him. You didn't want him. You did not want him. Nobody.
Wait. I did. He wasn't my first choice, but he's a way better choice.
Let me tell you, and I'm not going to go any further than this, but I'm just going to tell you, especially based off the news that's going to come out today in the next couple of days, you didn't want Pete Carroll as the head coach because his demands were things that the Cowboy fans would have hated. So Pete Carroll took himself out.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so. But what I'm saying is, Jerry doesn't pay. He refuses to pay for a top head coach.
And I can't explain that. I can't.
You can. You know the reason. The reason is very simple.
No.
If I pay you, then I'm giving you more power. Jerry lost his fastball, but he ain't totally out of it. There's a big difference paying a guy $5 million or $6 million to 10 to 12. Jerry would have to concede some change. And as a fan, that's what we're looking for. And you just show us year after year with these coaching hires that you just don't want to give it up. This is your fantasy football team. And all you had to watch was that press conference to see how dysfunctional this team is. You had Jerry up there rambling, and I get it, he's an old man. And then you got Steven, who came off as such a spoiled jerk, to turn around and basically look at the fans with that stupid finger thing. The 29 years that you lived through didn't really exist. And you know what? He's right. It didn't exist in his life. Because when he went to bed 29 years ago, he was a millionaire. And when he woke up 29 years later, he's a multi-billionaire. So I don't see this team, as big as a fan I am, winning a Super Bowl until Jerry's no longer with us and Steven sells the team. That is the only way I see this succeeding, because he doesn't even recognize that the business model is broken. They either one of them. We would hope that, okay, maybe one day. No. Neither one recognizes that this business model is broken.
All right. Well, I don't know if I can, I'm not going to agree with all of that. I definitely don't think the model is broken, but the drought of the Super Bowl drought is real. I mean, everyone knows that it's a Super Bowl drought. Does that mean? I think a lot of times people confuse that with being a bad franchise, a bad football team. I don't think this is a bad football team. I do think that they've got some pieces in place though that can get this thing kind of turned around. And I think it's a good combination of change of culture and continuity at the same time. So I think that's kind of why they wanted to keep the guy in house, and the money issues.
Continuity of what?
Of a good football team that they've had the last five. Continuity of success. What do you mean?
Good doesn't get you to the Super Bowl. They have fallen behind.
Right.
Good doesn't get. So what do we keep in continuity of? Good? Exactly.
Yeah.
Jerry wants to be good.
To take it to another level.
He doesn't want to be great.
All right.
He doesn't want to go to the next level. He's proven it with this hire. He wants to be good. As long as I'm in the middle, 7-10, 9-8, whatever. And if I somehow luck into a 12-5 season, and because you notice not one time did Jerry mention Super Bowl? He said playoffs. He kept saying, get to the playoffs. It used to be get to the Super Bowl, and that's the difference.
And I think we're all glad, other than you, that he doesn't do that. Nobody wants that. That's
why you have to shoot for that. Well, if you're not building towards that, you're wasting everybody's time.
You just quoted your new head coach, Rob. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. That's exactly what that head coach said. Exactly. So you guys are more aligned than you think you are, because that's exactly what he just said, was if you're not building for a championship, then what are you doing? So you know what? Jerry didn't have to say it. Your head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, said it. Let's also get to another matter as well. Will McClay has signed a 4-year extension with the Cowboys. He will remain in the vice president of player personnel. He does a lot of the duties that the director of scouting, even some that GM would do. He's got Jerry's ear, Jerry's trust, and I think that's a great move. And I'll say this, Will McClay, this is not an accident that Will McClay signed this deal 2 days after the head coach was signed. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know if Will McClay is here with a different coach, with Mike McCarthy. I don't know. There were other coaches that wanted to come in, maybe make some changes. Cowboys wanted Will McClay here. He obviously wants to be here, and he's going to be here for the next 4 years. That's a big deal, because I talked to him last year, and he said that I got 1 year left on my deal. I've made a commitment to my son. When he turns 18 and finishes high school, after that, I'll be here until after that. Who knows? So I think more jobs were attractive for him this year. He was probably open to leaving more than he's ever been, and that didn't happen. The Cowboys made it happen for him to stay, and I think they're giving him a little bit more say in some of the big decisions that we're making, maybe including this head coach. So that's a big move right there. Will McClay is staying. We'll have more on that here on DallasCowboys.com. Let's keep it going. Ronnie in New Jersey's next. Ronnie, what's up?
Hey, Nick. You know what? I was actually gonna ask you about Will McClay. So that's actually really
I should have let you ask me.
You have given us,
Ronnie. I should have let you ask me. You could have just broken the news for us. Sorry.
That was actually the best news that you have given us as fans. Because we know that Will McClay has a lot to do with the roster, a lot to do with being in Jerry's ear. Whether he listens to him or not is one thing, but at least we know he has a good eye for talent.
Yeah.
Maybe the one thing I think fans, the one thing that we would love for Will McClay to have more, if we don't know if he does, more advice or more of power is into the free agency. Like if we could actually pick up a few free agents, at least one or two really good players from other teams, and have them. Yeah, you could build through the draft, but build through the draft and also add a few key pieces here and there. You're not going to get every single player. You're not going to hit on the draft. Look, we haven't hit on our first rounders the past 2-3 years, so we've hit on some late round players, draft picks, but you're not going to hit even on first round. You're not going to hit every first rounder. So that's a lot to put on Will McClay also,
Yeah.
So on that, with the Schottenheimer, I'll be honest with you, Nick, as long as it's not Kellen Moore, I'm good.
All right.
Not you, no disrespect on Kellen Moore, whatever, this and that. I hear he might be going to the Saints. That's booyah. Or whatever.
That sounded disrespectful. No disrespect, just anyone but you.
I'm sorry. I did not see the Kellen Moore thing working out. You know what? One thing that I saw in that press conference, and you mentioned this, I enjoy seeing what I saw from him in the press conference. I don't think Kellen Moore would have had that same. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. You're talking about, can you stand up in front of 70 grown men and lead them to a game? And does Kellen?
And he did that. He not in front of the whole team, but he did that in front of players, in front of the media, and not for nothing. It takes a lot of something for you to be next to your boss, and your boss keeps on saying that this is the what was it that he kept on saying?
Risk.
Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones kept on calling the biggest risk he's ever taken. I'm like, come on, man. I felt bad for Schottenheimer during that, but at the same time, you're taking a risk no matter who you take as a head coach. Any coach that comes there is taking a risk.
Yeah.
Everybody's taking a risk at work every single day. So for him, I just didn't like when Jerry kept on pointing that out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that was weird. And I just don't think anyone really views it that way. That it is a risk. You know, I don't see that.
It's a risk with whatever coach. It was a risk with I forgot. He's not there no more. Our last head coach.
McCarthy.
With McCarthy. I'm sorry. He's already gone, so that's it. I erased him out of my mind. I'm glad McCarthy's gone. I'm sorry, but I didn't like McCarthy too much. I think Kellen Moore were,
I think if you have a first-year head coach, it's somewhat of a risk. But, is Chicago taking a risk with Ben Johnson?
Nick, wasn't it a risk when taking McCarthy? Yeah, he won a Super Bowl. What other head coach has gone to another team and won a Super Bowl? I mean, name me 5 head coaches. He's acting like, experience. Yeah, but some of these head coaches, I'm sorry, Rob was saying, but some of these head coaches that won Super Bowls that are as talented as they've been, some coaches have never even gone back to the Super Bowl, and they've won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's a risk in itself too. So I'm sorry, I just didn't like that risk there, and I felt bad for the guy. He just kept on pointing that out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think this is actually a good pick. I think he's actually he convinced me during that press conference.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Nick. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate you guys. And please, we need at least two shows a week. I want to keep on saying it until it happens.
I wouldn't. We talked to Derek about it. I told him about the petition. He was like, "That doesn't move me at all. I have reasons for what he's doing." Derek likes to be fair and equal to everybody. So.
Be fair and equal to us, the fans.
Call in the draft show. They I don't know. They actually get two shows a week. Maybe you should call in there and let the phones ring off the hook for Chris.
They don't let us get through to the draft show, Nick.
All right.
Nick, have a good one.
You too.
Thanks for taking my call.
All right.
Take care.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I think any first-year coach would be considered a risk in some way. The simple fact of this, and I said it to when Rob called, They don't pay top dollar for coaches. There's no salary cap. There's no reason why. So it's contradicting sometimes of the things we've also heard Jerry say about how much money I would write a check. You don't know the amount of check I would write to guarantee a Super Bowl and all that. Now, hiring a high profile coach doesn't guarantee a Super Bowl. He hired the highest of profiles in a coach, and he didn't even get him a playoff win in Bill Parcells. Did he change the culture? Did he change the team? Yeah, he did. He got them to a point where they were a better football team, but it didn't lead to postseason success. But so nothing's a guarantee. But the coaching part's always going to be there as kind of a head scratcher. But I think. I wouldn't worry about Schottenheimer's feelings about a risk and all that. I don't think Jerry was trying to be disrespectful to Schottenheimer. I think what he was trying to say, there was a lot of things he was trying to respond to media criticism and people that think, he likes to do things and that's really easy and comfortable. And he was trying to point out that there's risk involved when you're hiring a first-year coach. All right, Ali in Florida's next.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Pretty good, buddy. We miss you.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, but I'm here. Let's go.
Okay, so couple questions. I want to shout out to Patrick, Nick Harris, and you for having an awesome question in press conference. You did the interview. You look great. And you asked a lot of good questions as well. I think Mr. Jones allowed the podcast to come and ask the questions versus all these journalists that do softball questions. So, having said that, I want to ask you a question. Do you remember I said maybe you should put the little switch there for every new caller that called, and you push the sound like, here we go, versus waiting on Chris, because Chris has his handful back there. So next thing I know, a couple of weeks later, everything was solved. You solved the problem because you care. Chris cared for your own storyliners.
Right.
But having said that, I'm going to go take the bulls with the horn. We got 12-5 season, 3 years in a row that everybody want to give a credit to. Okay, no problem. It's hard to get this job. But Jerry Jones played football. He won the championship. He bought the Cowboys for so long. Stephen Jones been involved. So is Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. You lose the 12-5 season, what do? You go there and says, look, let's improve it for next year. The second 12-5 season comes in. What they do, they don't have no problem. And the third one, I mean, any of these guys could have Dak Prescott, go to Jerry's office and look, let me take a $2 million less, give me some offensive line free agent. Or Mike McCarthy, like you care about your program. He could easily go to Jerry Jones and goes, look, Jerry, 12-5, I know what we need. You play championship, you know what we need. Nobody ever went there to shout and do something to maybe put the best team. When you show up 12-5 3 years in a row, that's what Rob is talking about. If you've ever seen the iceberg is 10%. You see visually 90% is underwater. Rob talking about all the anger that he has is about the current, but 90% he's been watching the football since 77, for example. All these years we go through these. We set the trend as the Dallas Cowboys. You have a pride as a Cowboys staff writer, and a good one at the least. You have a little perk in your step when you walk into the stadium. You work for the Cowboys. Who is Howie Roseman who takes these guys' lunch? So for me, this is what upset me. We set the trend, and everybody beat us with everything that we set the standard. Love you, brother. Say hello to Jacob and Chris's kid, my pizza club. Love you, buddy.
All right. Appreciate that. Ali, a lot of good stuff. I can't say I know everything that you're referring to there, but I appreciate the call and the support for sure. And, you know, again, I was a little confused with some of the stuff that you were saying. So appreciate the call. Let's move on to Zach in Atlanta.
Hey, what's up, Nick? How are you?
How are you?
I'm good, man. Friday night, the news breaks of Brian Schottenheimer, Monday press conference. You got your show today. I was hoping you'd get your Cabo trip, in the off season, but I don't know if it's going to happen, man. At least not yet.
Yeah, no. I like to go like right in the middle of the week when big things are happening. You know what I mean? That's what I hear. You're supposed to go to Cabo like right before like a big game or big news announcement.
Yeah.
No, Cabo. I don't even know anything about that. I can get in a cab. I can't afford the other O.
You can't afford the O.
Yeah.
The Cabo. All right. Well, hey, man. Obviously, coaching news, that's great. Will McClay news, that's great. I'm curious about, Matt Eberflus coming back in the fold. He's going to be our DC. There's a lot of talk of the continuity for Dak's sake and the offense and all that. I have my thoughts there, but I'm thinking about Micah. This is his third defensive coordinator in 3 years. I don't really know what Eberflus is going to bring to the table and how long he'll stick around, but I would really love like a Steve Spagnuolo kind of guy who's like, he's done the head coaching thing, he's coming back and probably not going to go do the head coaching thing again and just laying as a defensive coordinator and coaching a great defense in Kansas City. Now, obviously, Matt Eberflus, he was a head coach for a second.
Yeah.
Who knows if that's in his future again? But he's, I think, considerably younger than Bags. But, just curious about your thoughts on the Eberflus hire and the continuity for Micah's sake. I like using him in different ways, but also, if he's doing a new defense every year or two, is that going to hinder his ability or really expand his potential? So
great points. Zach, I'll say this. Spagnuolo, that might be what Eberflus is. When you view him as a defensive coordinator with a team that's won a lot of Super Bowls, and is it Andy Reid, it's Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones, and then now we're really starting to see Spagnuolo as far as he gets a lot of praise as well. Compare him or evaluate him as a head coach. I don't think it was that great. Obviously, he didn't get another turn at it. So there's some great guys that Dick LeBeau might be another one. Great assistants, great coordinators, not so great as a head coach. And Campo, you could throw Dave Campo in there as well. Maybe Matt Eberflus is that guy. That's what we're about to find out. He's a lot younger, but he might be that guy as far as, really good coordinators, really good schemes. And, I don't think Eberflus is a bad coach. I mean, that was a really unusual set of circumstances there. There two or three games that really go one way or another. They go his way. He's still the head coach of the Bears probably. So that's kind of the way it is. And a few other callers had called in and talking about changes from Schottenheimer, tweaks and stuff. Can they really change a lot? Think about changing 2 or 3 things on your offensive line and your running game or whatever that might just affect us. One drive, this field goal drive turned into a touchdown, and they did it 3 times, and that got them 14, 17 more points. That won that game. That might win 2 or 3 others, and give yourself 3 or 4, 3 wins or so. Give yourself 3 wins different. Now, what is that, 10-7? But 3 wins that matter. Now you're playing for the last game of the season. Maybe the last games you're playing it totally different. Maybe you win that game. I just did a few tweaks here and there to the offense that affected this drive and then this drive and this drive. And that won me a game, and I won 2 or 3 games. Now I'm in the playoffs. I just changed my whole season based off a few tweaks. I know it's not that simple all the time, but the point is I think when you're sitting right there at that 7-10, 8-9, 9-8, you're there. Now, that being said, you can have 2 or 3 things to go the other way, and you might be a 4-13 football team. If you can go 3 wins this way, you can go 3 that way. You got to remember that. So that's the way it is. Make sure these tweaks are the good ones and the right ones. But I don't think in this league it's hard to make that big jump from one to another. All right, let's go to another break here on Cowboys Storyline. We'll be right back after this.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
There is no I in Dallas. There is no I in Hart either. No I in Blue Star or in Lone Star for that matter. And there's no I in how about them Cowboys? Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. Football is a we thing, an experience that is best enjoyed together. With good drinks and good folks, home or away, we rally together. We cry together. And we always rally cry together because there's definitely no I in Cowboys fans. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly.
To Cowboys Storyline.
Back here on Cowboys Storyline, I'm Nick Eatman. I want to hear from you guys, 888-855-2297. Probably got another 15, 20 minutes to go, so got a chance to get a few more callers. I know this will be the first time a lot of you have been able to really throw your comments out there about Brian Schottenheimer. Mostly positive, not all gung-ho, but it's more like, hey, it is what it is. I'm on board. This is the coach of the team. And that's the way I've always felt when my team hires a new coach. Maybe I wasn't the one I was looking at first, and but he's the coach. I mean, this is the team. Let's go. I mean, what am I going to do? How am I going to change? That's kind of the way I've always kind of felt. But I think, and I think because the bar is very low and you don't know much about this guy, that I think that he was able to impress some with the way he carried himself in the press conference. Again, like, none of this matters if you don't go win games. I mean, everyone knows that. Okay, so you can Dan Campbell saying we're going to go bite kneecaps and all that wouldn't have mattered. It would have been laughable if they didn't go and have some success that they've had. So that was one of those press conferences that people remember, and I'm sure their fans got excited, and it's turned out that he turned things around. This wasn't that kind of press conference, but it was, he had some moments, some lines in there about, of what they're trying to do and how they can get there. So now it's up to him, to go figure it out. All right, let's go to Rick. He's in Webster, Massachusetts.
What's up, Nick? How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
All right. Yeah, Friday night's news is like, oh, okay, that's good. Well, let's see where we go from here. Let's give him a guy a shot. I like what he said at Monday's press conference, trying to motion and all that stuff there, shorten the length of the field down to getting people close in and stuff like that. But, let's see what he can do, how he does with the draft, OTAs, training camp, free agency, and hopefully, they'll be able to do something in the second or, early part of the free agency, pick up a couple of key players to fill in some needs if we lose players. Also, during the regular season, see if he can do something that Mike McCarthy wasn't able to do, is that instead of the 15 players that's scripted, have something else. Oh, okay, this is what they're doing now. Let me switch it up and try this instead. Make changes on the fly or halftime adjustments and stuff like that. Go with that. If we have a successful season, great. If we don't, we'll try again next year.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's all you can do. I mean, but I agree. I mean, I do think that he's got that in him to he's going to take everything that he's learned from different coaches, his father included and all that, and kind of, and Mike McCarthy included, learn some of those things. And that's what you do as a head coach. That's what you do in any profession. If I'm the boss one day, I'm going to do this. And so here we are. This is his chance to kind of take all of the things that he's done and apply it.
Yeah, I like the Eberflus hire, and I don't know about the special teams guy. I don't know much about him. We'll see what he can do. But I definitely love the news about McClay.
Yeah.
Glad he's coming back for another 4 years.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, let's go to Irwin in Colorado. Sorry, we got news breaking here. Irwin, Colorado, what's up?
Hey, Nick, what's going on?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. So you got some breaking news, but I just wanted to touch bases with you a little bit. You broke about Will McClay, and my question to you is, if Jerry Jones is so, he's basically responsible for the draft picks and stuff like that, Will McClay is like his right-hand man in that regards, and we all know that he's pretty good, really good at what he does, but it seems to me like Will McClay seems to get a pass every now and then on some of the players that have been picked, and we all know some of those players' names, and why does it seem like McClay seems to get a pass on these types of players?
Why Will gets a pass on players?
Yes, on because there's been some questionable draft picks, and I'm sure he's been part of those conversations and how those players are picked. I mean, it just seems like, and I'm not cutting on him or anything. I think he's a really good person in the organization. I think he's done a really good job with what he's been doing, but no one ever seems to criticize McClay as being the so-called general manager, because everybody kind of looks at him as that anyways. But it just seems like he just, from fans abroad, nothing ever comes up about McClay making bad picks. And I just wanted to get your take on that. And
well, my take on that is that's why he was probably had the pen in hand when they said, you want to sign this deal. I mean, what better job is there than that? I mean, like, he's got GM duties. He doesn't have the GM title, and he doesn't have the blowback when there are some bad picks, you know? So sounds like a pretty awesome job for me. I mean, really.
I'm sure
and you're right.
I'm sure it's an awesome.
You're right. No one ever says, "Oh, Taco, good pick, Will." I mean, no one does that. You're right. I think that I mean, this team should get some criticism for. I mean, not all the picks are great. I think though, over time, that the track record has been, hey, this has been a really, they've done a great job drafting guys. But the last 3 years. I think the last 3 years you could say we haven't seen as much. Yes, Deron Bland was a great mid-round pick, and so was Ferguson. But the last year, both of them stepped back, did not make a Pro Bowl, injuries or whatever happened. So, and combine that with the first-round picks have not been that good at all.
Exactly. But the other thing I think he kind of has a hand in, and not only the draft picks, but the free agency. Don't you think that Will McClay should have a little bit more say on, listen, we need to really go after let's just say a Henry, because Henry's really going to help our running. Me and you talked about this last year when they were in the free agency about a running back. They didn't do it. Doesn't Will McClay have some big time say and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think he does. I think, but that goes in line with, I don't think he's necessarily changing their opinions on what their plan is as far as strategy and philosophy on building through the draft and not so much through free agency. I think this last year might have changed some things for league-wide, because the theory is that these running backs, you pay them a third contract, then they're not going to be that great. And Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, they proved a lot of people wrong, a lot. And not just them. There were some other pretty good free agent running backs. So that might have changed the way things are done. And it's a copycat league. Let's see if the Cowboys and other teams change their mind when it comes to getting running backs a little bit later in their career.
Yeah. Hey, thanks a lot, Nick, for taking my call.
Thanks, Erwin. Appreciate that. Let's go to Sebastian. He's in Savannah, Georgia. What's up, Sebastian?
I had to mute myself. How are we doing, sir?
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. You know what? Let me just be one of the first people to actually come out and say congratulations to Brian Schottenheimer on getting the position of the promotion.
Yeah.
Mr. Eatman, at some point in time, we all needed an opportunity. You got your opportunity with the Cowboys a long time ago. Somebody saw something in you, and look at how it turned out for you. So I'm hoping that it turns out well. I'll never go against the head coach to be like, oh, I hope we tank the season or something like that. I hope this goes well. I don't believe that in Jerry's advancing age, he's just going to pick a guy who he can just bully around, who he doesn't believe can do the job. So that being said, I hope they give him every single tool that he needs, working closely with Will McClay. And I believe in Will McClay, and I'm going to go ahead and choose to believe in Brian Schottenheimer as well.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. And again, we don't have a choice. Like this is it. I bet it does help when people kind of buy in a little bit. But I mean, I say it helps. I mean, it's helped. It's easier for this show. But these calls are great. Like when the guy like you, Sebastian, calls in and says, "Hey, I'm on it. Congratulations. Let's go. Let's do this." Like that's great. 7 calls ago when Rob from Vegas called in and said terrible hire. Okay, like we'll find out. We'll find out in 2 years, 3 years, we'll find out just how good these hires are. Just like the Bears are going to find out if their coach is good. Just like the Jets will find out if Aaron Glenn is a good coach. We'll find out. We'll find out with the Raiders if Pete Carroll is still a good coach. Just because he's done it before, that doesn't mean it's all going to work out. There's a lot of things that have to go right for the coaching situation to work. And we'll see if Schottenheimer can get that to turn here with the Cowboys and take those things that he's learned for so many years, not just as a coach, but also a little kid at the table, listening to his dad. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if he's got that in him. All right, Robbie in Cocoa Beach, Florida is next.
What's up, Nick? Boy, it took forever to get in. I've been calling this before the show started.
Oh, well.
You're popular, man. They love you, man. We all do.
Well, this is the show. This is the first show since the news.
The hire, yeah.
Yeah, well, everybody's got opinion. I mean, I look at it like, there's 15, 20, 25 people that call a lot. You want to get in for this show. And so I get it. I wish we could even go a little bit longer, but hour and a half is good. Of course, we've got Cowboys break coming up after this. So all week long, a lot of these, you guys want to hear what you have to say. There's people that haven't got a chance to really talk about the hire as well. We'll hear that on Cowboys break coming up after this. But Robbie, what do you got?
So, a number of years ago, there was this guy, Jimmy Johnson, great college coach. I had such apprehension about him coming over and taking over for the Cowboys after Tom Landry, because Landry was damn near a god to all of us. He was awesome. He was a good Christian, good person, great leader, awesome. And this upstart came in. You made us the best team in the NFL for quite a while. Mind you, salary cap, I know. My apprehension this time is that Schottenheimer, great dad, beautiful lineage, good coaching experience, but he's never really done anything with his 25 years experience. It makes me a little apprehensive.
Yeah.
But I'm still a faithful Cowboy fan, man, and I hope the best for him. And I'll say congratulations to him, too, like Sebastian did.
Yeah.
And I hope he does well. I hope he does what Jimmy did, puts our team back in the playoffs and the Super Bowls and, the best team in the NFL again.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll happen, but I sure hope so. The Matt Eberflus hire, he was linebackers coach under Rob Ryan. Is that right?
And
Cowboys?
Marinelli. Yeah, he was here for a little bit. Yeah.
And I remember both of them, Marinelli and Rob Ryan, talked such great praises about him as a coach. And I think I'm pretty pleased about him being a DC. I think that's going to work really well.
Yeah. I agree.
And other than that, I know you got calls, so if you got anything to add on Eberflus of his time here before that you know of, great. If not, then let's get the next call. Thanks, brother. I appreciate your time, man.
I appreciate you. Eberflus he got a pretty good gift there when he got to coach Sean Lee, because Sean Lee is like a coach on the field, but he's not trying to be a coach. He's trying to be a player. So a lot of times when you have a coach on the field, they don't always do what they're supposed to do as far as to help all the other guys. Yeah, they can coach. They know the game inside and out. But do they take coaching as well too? And Sean Lee was really good at that. I think he helped Eberflus early on. Just by having a guy that he didn't have to be the hard ass all the time, because he got Sean Lee right here. So, but when he went to Indianapolis, he did a nice job. I think he had Darius Leonard there, Shaq Leonard, and that kind of helped take his game to another level and with the Colts, but. And I might not have all my years just right on what Eberflus has done, but I'm pretty sure that was the case there when he was with the Colts. So I think he's going to be a good hire. And Robbie said something about Jimmy as a coach, and he also said not sure what has Schottenheimer done in the 25 years. And that's what the biggest gripe is. And I think he understands that. Everyone understands that. Did you deserve this opportunity? Did you, what have you done to show that you can do that? And we just talked about Steve Spagnuolo, and he, great credentials as a coordinator. He's won all the Super Bowls. He's with the Giants coordinator and obviously the Chiefs. When he was a head coach, it didn't work out. So sometimes, and that's what happens. I mean, these guys with the Lions, these two coordinators, because of the Lions' success, they get jobs. Does that mean they're going to be good? No, it doesn't mean that. And so we've seen it both ways, Now, Schottenheimer, but I wrote this in my column on Monday. Schottenheimer got hired because of the things we just can't see. You just can't. You can't see the relationships that he has with people, the way he talks to people, the way that he understands, the relationships that he understands, how to build culture. Those are just things you just can't see, and we're not going to see it in time. What we see is production, lack of production, X's and O's, things like that, rankings and your offensive rankings, stuff, those kind of things. And that right there is not going to impress a lot of the people. And I understand that, and I bet you he understands that. Where he's going to have to take it to another level is those things, those intangible things you just can't see. All right, let's go two more calls. Let's go with Sheriff Lonnie. He's in Kansas.
Hello, Nick.
How you doing?
Oh, doing okay.
All right, what's up?
Oh, not much. I was surprised at the pick, and I had a lot of things at the beginning I was negative on, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to stay positive because Aaron Glenn, yeah, he might have been, but you don't know.
Yeah.
Same way with Johnson. They're new guys. You don't know how they can coach head coach-wise. There's a lot of good coordinators that wouldn't make good head coaches.
Yeah.
But they're great coordinators. And so I decided I'm not going to be negative. I lived through the one-win season, and I stuck with the Cowboys, all these haters that are going to quit and all that. Well, I guess go ahead. But I'm sticking by them and give Schotty a chance and see what happens. And you got to put good coaches and players around you. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Belichick or whoever. You got to put people around you that's going to make a good football team. And that's all I got to say. And looking forward to another season.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, Lonnie. We're going to keep it moving here. Brian in Florida. It'll be our last call. Brian, what's up?
All right. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Right to the point. Jerry, I'm a longtime Dallas fan. Jerry, during his press conference, said that he's the best person for the job to get Dallas out of this drought. I'm sorry. I just can't buy it anymore. How many head coaches has he gone through? And it hasn't. Until he proves it, it's just more cliches. You got to prove it. I'm not even asking for a Super Bowl. Get to an NFC conference game. You don't even have to win it. Just get there. He hasn't done it. He'll fire the head coaches, but okay. Oh, hey, Nick.
All right. Yeah, I didn't hear that last part. Can you say that again?
Nick, right to the point. How many head coaches has Jerry gone through? And it hasn't worked.
Right.
He says during the press conference that he's the best person to get the Cowboys out of this.
So what would you?
He hasn't.
Well, what would you
done
say?
it.
Okay, we did hear that part. So what would you say would be? So what should he do? Fire himself as the GM? Is that what you're saying?
Get someone to help him or something, or if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're repeating the process, and that's what they're doing. That's why there's this drought. Do something. I get it. I'm not nothing against Schottenheimer. I hope he's great. Jerry's not the best person for the job.
All right.
It's proven.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and that I got it. And that doesn't matter because about is he the right person? Right? It's his job. It's his job. It's his organization. He can make he makes those decisions to put himself in that situation. If you believe he's the only decision maker, then your head is too far in the sand that you'll die. I mean, if you believe that, then it's ridiculous. He's got a lot of people that he listens to, sometimes too many. One of them is Will McClay, and Will McClay is a guy that just signed a 4-year extension to be the vice president of player personnel here for the next at least 4 years, if not longer than that. So, and he does have Jerry's ear. He is the closest thing to the GM as you would want. And I think people are hung up on titles and things like that. Jerry gets a lot of people, a lot of opinions, a lot of voices in his ear to help him make some of these decisions. And one of them is Will, and Will's going to be here. So, guys, great show. Appreciate it. We'll be back next Wednesday to do it all over again. For Chris Beam, I'm Nick Eatman. See you next time on the Storyline.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,